Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning into today's tutorial. Again, I hope you have watched the two previous tutorials on our breath work and finding our neutral spine, because today we're going to be putting them together in action in a concept called lumbopelvic stability here, or lower core activation. So let's go ahead and begin lying down on your back. Okay, so you're gonna lie on your back with your knees bent, feet flat onto the mat. Now, we're going to take a second here and find that neutral alignment. So let's just do a quick pelvic clock here to help loosen everything up and wake up our dormant muscles here. So again, picture that your pelvis or your sacrum here is sitting directly on top of that clock face. Now we're going to inhale and arch your lower back. So you're shifting weight to your tailbone, or we'll call that 6 o'clock. Now exhale and pelvic tuck, flattening your lower back, imprinting your spine into the mat by tightening your abs. Don't push from your legs. Again, let's do that again. Inhale to arch. Exhale, belly is tight, imprint your spine. One more time, going to 12 and 6 o'clock. So inhale, 6 o'clock at the tailbone. Exhale to 12 o'clock here. And then find the middle ground of the two. Now we're going to go left to right, 3 to 9 o'clock. So I'll put 3 o'clock under my left hip, 9 o'clock under my right hip. If that's the other way around, just flip it, just roll with it. So let's have you rotate weight to 3 o'clock on your left hip here. Again, resist the temptation to push with your legs here. Very tempting. Don't let them take over what your abdominals and your core should be doing. Now we're going to shift that weight towards 9 o'clock or your right hip. Let's do that again. And left hip, core tight, right hip. One more time, left and right. Left hip, just twisting the pelvis, and right hip, twisting the pelvis. Now find that middle ground. We are going to go clockwise here. So let's have you pelvic tuck first. So pelvic tuck. Belly pulls nice and tight. Your lower back is imprinted into the spine. Now let's have you shift your weight to your left hip bone. Now arch your lower back towards your tailbone. Exhale to your right hip bone and imprint back to your lower back. Let's do that again. We go to 3, 6 o'clock tail, right, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock lower back. One more time, we go left, tail, right, 12 o'clock, hold. Now let's reverse. Go to your right, go to your tail, go to your left, flatten the back. 2 more times. To the right hip, to the tail, to the left hip, to the lower back. One more time. Right, tail, left, and flat. Now find that middle ground right there. So you're right on the sacrum. Core is toned, lower back is supportive here. Okay, so we have now found our neutral pelvis. We can go into our lumbopelvic exercises. So for this, we need to be able to feel what our lower abs are doing and when. So we're going to use our fingers as a little bit of a guide here. So I want you to take your fingers and find your 2 front hip bones. Now you're going to slide the fingers towards each other, in towards your belly button or your midline, just by an inch or 2, and press down into your abdomen right there. So you're just inside of your hips. All right, so you're pressing down, down, down. Now inhale. Now exhale and clear your throat. Really clear your throat. Nice. So hopefully what you felt were your lower abdominals pulling tight towards your spine. Let's try that again. Clear your throat. Nice. So you feel those abdominals pulling nice and tight. Now, you may have also observed, you may or may not have observed, that your abdominals popped out when they engaged rather than pulled in to your spine. And that's okay. That will come with practice and with time, and with a little bit of a deeper awareness of how to engage, right? So keeping your fingers in place, let's see if we can apply that same engagement of our lower abs, but to a little bit of a longer drawn out breath. So we're going to inhale through your nose. Now this time when you exhale, sink the navel or your belly button down towards your spine. So exhale. exhale, scoop in the belly in towards your spine. 2 more times like that. So inhale and exhale. Pull the abdominal wall tight towards your spine. So I like to pretend I'm actually fogging up a mirror with my breath on this one here. That helps me get that little engagement here. So let's see if that works for you on this one. Inhale through your nose. Fog up that imaginary mirror. Pretty cool, huh? Very nice. So that was your lower abdomen right there, your transversus abdominis, referred to as TA, or I just simply call it our core lower ab. So that muscle, again, just quickly going through the anatomy of it, this is a massive muscle inside of your body here. So if you find your sternum right here at the top of your rib cage, this muscle attaches up at your sternum, goes under the ribs and around to the back, fill in the space right here, comes down and connects to the top of your ribs and down into your abdomen, into your pubic bone, pubic symphysis. So if you can picture a corset, that's exactly what this is. So when you properly engage this muscle, you learn how to draw it in towards your spine, you're essentially tightening up a corset. You're cinching the waist right there. So what that does, what effects that has on the body is that stabilizes our lumbar spine and our pelvis. So lumbo-pelvic stability. So that was just the first muscle. The second muscle we're going to be looking at here or exploring is the pelvic floor musculature and its role. All right, so putting your hands back in place on top of your abdomen, just inside your 2 hip bones. This time, when you exhale and you're tightening your lower abdominals, I want you to pull that pelvic floor up towards your heart. Think of like your pelvic floor as an elevator lifting to the first floor, all right? So inhale through your nose. Start by tightening the lower belly. Now tone or keep a lift on that pelvic floor. Do that again 2 more times. Inhale. Let the pelvic floor relax. Bring it back down to the basement level. Exhale. Tighten the belly. Pull that pelvic floor up to the first floor. 1 more time. Inhale. Exhale. Toning that pelvic floor. Very good. So you've gotten the pelvic floor to engage. You've gotten your lower abdominals to engage. The combination of those 2 muscles, well, the diaphragm as well with your exhale, so let's call it 3 muscles. The combination of those 3 muscles working together actually has an effect on a muscular, a group of muscles around your spine. So help yourself up to sitting here. This is the 4th muscle that we really look at when we're talking about lumbopelvic stabilization. This group of muscle is called your multifidi. Now, if you can picture those little novelty toys that are called the Chinese handcuffs or the finger traps, right? You stick a finger in each end and you try to pull out and it tightens up. That's very similar to how your multifidi react. So let's find our multifidi. Go ahead, let's come up to standing for this exercise here. So if you stand on up, you're going to take your fingers and find your spine right here. So if you just kind of curl forward, you're gonna find the little bones on your upper back right there. Stand up and just pull your fingers slightly apart. So you're on each side of your spine, okay? So you feel your muscles underneath your fingertips. If not, let's all take a little bit of a walk around. So just take a couple steps forward. All right, so now you should feel those muscles plumping up underneath your fingertips here. Okay, so once you're comfortable with that, go ahead and stand on both feet right here. Now, we're gonna take that big deep breath in through the nose, let the belly relax slightly. Now I want you to contract your abdomen and your pelvic floor with this energetic breath here. So inhale, exhale, tone the belly and pelvic floor. Again, 1 more time. Inhale. Exhale, tone the pelvic floor and the belly. So hopefully what you may or may not have felt is a little bit of a tightening on your multifidi around your spine. It can be very, very subtle. For some of you, it may be a little bit more than others, but just bringing that awareness, kind of 360-degree awareness of your spine and the muscles that are working to stabilize it makes such a huge impact with your exercises. Again, that's a concept we call lumbo-pelvic stability. So that's very important for when we go to very active exercises like a squat, especially against resistance. If you've got a big barbell on your shoulders and you're not getting that nice lumbo-pelvic stability, you're going to wrench your back and hurt something, right? So I always kind of think, I almost think of weightlifters and their belt right there that you'll see some of them put on. Think of this as our little internal weightlifter's belt, right? So we're pulling in, we're getting that stability from our own muscles against our exercise and resistance-based exercises in particular. So again, just to recap, with a proper breath work here, diaphragm contraction, so very engaged exhales here, lower ab contraction, pelvic floor contraction, and multifidi back stabilization. That is all done with a proper breathing technique. You're going to get a point in your practice where you don't even have to think about that step, right? So let's explore another exercise demonstrating this lumbo-pelvic stability in action here, okay? So we're gonna lie down onto your back again with your knees bent, feet flat on the mat. Okay, here we are. We're flat on our back. Our knees are bent, feet are flat on the mat as well. Inhale, let's take a second and find our neutral alignment. So let's have you arch the back and exhale, flatten the back, come halfway between the two, rotate to the left hip, swing across, rotate to the right hip, and again, find that neutral. So here we go. Take your hands, place them inside of your hips, and we're gonna go for a little march. So let's recruit those deep abdominal muscles here. So we're gonna inhale, exhale, tone the pelvic floor, tighten the lower belly. Now raise your right leg into the air. What happened? If you properly engaged your deep lower abdominals, you wouldn't shift weight from left hip to right hip. You would still be center and neutral. Set that leg back down. Try it with your left leg. Exhale left. And down. Go back to your right leg again. Exhale right. Continue to alternate. Good, very nice. So we're going for that little march here. Another way that we can explore this, if that didn't resonate with you, try placing your hand underneath your hips. So lift your hips up, make that little triangle with your hand. So you're framing your sacrum. You have one hand under each hip here, and your weight is evenly distributed. So you're in that neutral alignment. Weight is even across left hand and right hand, and evenly placed between thumbs and fingers. So once you feel that nice, stable position, recruit your lower abdominals and pelvic floor and raise your right leg. Set it down. Raise your left leg. And down. Again, 4 more. 3 more. And 2. I want you to hold one up. So hold one, bring both legs into tabletop position. Now it's getting a little bit harder, right? So we're gonna tap and lift, and tap and lift. Keep alternating. Your exhale, send your legs down. And there's no movement in your pelvis. Lumbo-pelvic stability, deep lower core activation here. Now, this is going to get a little bit harder. So we started from the easiest position, made a little more interesting here. Let's try this with straight legs. One leg comes up, the other leg comes up. Keep alternating. 4, 3, 2. It's about to get really sexy here. 1, both legs together. Oh, don't shift that weight in your pelvis. Don't let it shift to your fingers. Bring it back up. Again. Lower abs are toned tight. Lower those legs. Only as low as you can keep your pelvis neutral. And then back up. That's okay if that's only this far, right? Start small, mind your form. Eventually, you'll be able to go all the way down and all the way up, right? Find your range of motion first and foremost. One more time. Exhale and up. Bend your knees. Set your feet down one at a time. Whew. Take your hands out from underneath your hips. Very good. Help yourself up to sitting. So that was lumbo-pelvic stabilization demonstrated in action, right? So that was one of the foundational exercises, but that concept can be applied to anything. And as your practice progresses, it's going to get more abstract. In fact, a lot of the advanced Pilates choreography is a lot of abstract dynamic movement, but you still have that wherewithal to maintain and recruit your deep lower core, right? Maintaining that lumbo-pelvic stabilization. Case in point, here's another exercise where we're going to come onto your hands and knees. This will be our final exercise for today. We're going to come up onto your hands and your knees. Now, let's go ahead and find that neutral alignment here. So we're going to begin with a nice curl and curl and arch of your spine. So you're on your knees, hip distance apart, hands are shoulder distance apart. Let's have your pelvic tuck around your lower back, round your upper back, and just let your head hang off your arms. Now you feel how your abs are nice and recruited here. Your back muscles are nice and stretched out. Now let's reverse that. Inhale, arch through cow. So you're sticking your tail, rolling through your lower back, opening up your ribs and picking your head up. Now hold this pose for a second. Let your abs sag to the floor like a pregnant cat. Now hold this form and pull the belly tones tight. Never let your abs sag down like that. Now, from here, come down halfway between the two. So you're in that neutral, stable lumbopelvic position, lumbopelvic neutral spine. So from here, we're going to try to hang on to that. Stretch your right leg out behind you. Stretch your left arm out in front of you, working opposite arm and leg, and raise up and balance. Ooh. All right, not so bad, huh? So your abs are toned tight. Tune into your right arm pressing on the floor. Feel how that's connecting with your right rib cage and shoulder and chest. Now pull the belly button a little bit tighter. Can you feel your left lower belly just above your hip and your right inner thigh? So tune into what's pressing on the floor. Now can you reach a little bit longer? Now observe your stability or maybe the lack thereof, right? Just observe that. Don't try to correct it. Now, big inhale and bring the hand and knee underneath you. We're going to switch to the other side. So resetting, find neutral. Extend your left leg. Extend your right arm. Abs are pulling tight. And we raise and just hold. Arrive in your position and feel and compare the stability to the other side, or maybe the lack of stability on this side compared to the other side. Again, tune into your left arm, left shoulder and chest and rib cage in the front. Tighten up the belly, right lower abdominals in front of the hip, and right inner thigh. 2 more breaths in and out. 1 more inhale and bring it underneath you. You can sit back and relax. So that is an example of when things get a little more interesting, right? We have less support. We're not laying on our back with just a leg in the air. We're now working a lot of balance and challenging our core in a very dynamic way. So that's a very, very cool exercise, the bird dog, to come back to now every now and then as you progress in your practice, because you're going to see loads of improvement with your balance and your symmetry on your side, right? On your versus one side to the other. So that is lumbopelvic stabilization in a nutshell. Now, again, as you're going through your Pilates practice, this is a major theme. This is what we often refer to as your powerhouse, right? Your deep lower core, your pelvic floor, your multifidi in the back, and your diaphragm. All it boils down to is learning how to breathe and recruit those muscles properly and finding neutral, tying it all together. All right, thank you for watching. I hope this has been valuable for you. Feel free to come back to this video as often as you would like to. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, and I hope to see you on the mat soon. Thank you.